So you've probably been wondering why we've been seeing all these different independent brokerages moving over to eXp Realty. So maybe you already own a independent brokerage and you have done so for some years now, or you're a team lead looking to get your broker's license to go start your own, but you're exploring all these other options to see what's going to be the best for you and the best for your company going forward. Well, in this video, as a team lead that was looking to go ahead and build his own brokerage, I'm going to share my research with you and what my other colleagues in eXp have been seeing for people moving over to this brokerage. So stick around. What's up, everybody? This is Tim Whittemore with the Whittemore Group here with eXp Realty here in Northwest Florida. I'm coming at you trying to give you the no BS assessment when it comes to joining eXp. In this case, coming on as an independent broker. Now, I've been through a lot of this, especially here with eXp. I've been through different brokerages. I've been a sales agent in 3 different other states and simultaneously in 2 states with eXp. And I want to give you all the information to help you as the broker or as the agent coming in and going into eXp and seeing if this is the right fit for you. So let's get into it. What is it and why are people joining the independent brokerages? Why are people joining eXp here? Well, if you've been a broker for a while or you've been researching it, some of the cons of becoming a broker versus being a sales agent are mainly, big thing is the cost, right? It costs a lot. You have lots of overhead, and it can start racking up significantly when you're capped in everything, right? Not only that, but you have liability. That's a huge one. It's one of those things for the last few years that I was considering going, no, I don't want anything to do with being this broker deal, mainly because you can get sued, right? But there's big liability, right? You also have time and the management of everything. Again, you are capped in everything. It's also difficult to scale. It's going to be great in your local area, but once you kind of encompass that local area, do you want bigger than that? It's going to be harder to scale on an independent way. Not only that, but once you get that thing and get this machine rolling, there's really not a big exit strategy for you. I've talked to plenty of different people that have got to the end of this stage and thinking that they were going to sell this brokerage for a big amount of money, and it was always less than what they thought it was going to be. So there's really not that big of an exit strategy as you look at your own independent brokerage as well as going to eXp. Now, as a high D personality, if you know the DISC personality, I'm a high D personality, as you as these team leads and brokers probably are as well. So ego definitely gets in our way when it looks into, hey, I'm not going to hang my license. I want to make my own thing when it comes through here. Well, based off of what my other colleagues at eXp have gone through, here's the 7 things that we were able to come up with, or rather I put together for you, why people made the switch and why they're glad that they did. Now, first and foremost number 1 was the overhead. They cut the overhead down a lot, mainly because we're already getting into a broker that has the tools, has the support, especially hiring W-2 employees, or even if you're smart about it, getting virtual assistants and trying to keep that overhead low. When you start adding personnel that aren't 1099, it starts getting expensive really, really quick, right? So those support personnel, you don't necessarily need to get those, and if you do, it will be for your specific niche. But the tools like KV Core, the eXp brokerages gives each agent KV Core for $50, right? And it's not even on to you. That is an expense to them. Now, if you want access to all these different ones, you can get the enterprise version, the big version, and get a team account, and that's only going to cost you $3.99. If you went to KV Core or Inside Real Estate to figure out what that was, it's going to be significantly higher as a broker option versus just your brokerage team option that you would get with eXp. Now, other expenses too. As an office, you could have an office, but you don't have to. In today's virtual world, in the date of this video is 2022. And 2021, with all COVID stuff, realized, and I'm sure you can contest to, that we don't have to be there in person every single time to meet with clients or do any of that. All of this with different platforms like Zoom and FaceTime, we're able to interact with people and face to face virtually, where you don't actually have to need to have your own independent office. So if you want to cut that overhead down, you absolutely can, and run your own personal team brokerage the way that you want to. Now they've taken from a previous person that I was listening to earlier, had an overhead of about 30,000, and he took that overhead down to about 3,000. And that was after he had this brokerage for about 4 years. So pretty impressive as cutting that down. So number 2 was your limited legal liability. Yes, as a broker, you are going to get that nasty word sued, right? If not only you, but one of the agents that you hire does and says something stupid and somebody gets crazy and they're not doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, this case, you're not going to get sued. You are not the managing broker. Now, the brokers are in all the different states, right? And they're support brokers. Even as an associate broker, your liability is much, much, much less. And you're not in risk of losing everything if somebody on your team does something stupid, or even yourself. All right, number 3 is building building your team nationally. Now, one thing that I learned from going from one state to the next state was that if I was going to be with a brokerage like Keller Williams or something like that, I would have to go to that independent franchise and then pay the same fees that I would somewhere else. And because this is an independent brokerage that we have, there's no franchises. And because of that, I was able to operate 2 teams in 2 different states. Now, obviously, I'd have to have the license to practice in both states, but it was just a sales license in order to do so. And I was able to do so under one type of overhead cost, which was the same as if I had it in one state versus 2. So what they were charging me was much, much less. What that means is that you don't have to have your license besides but in one state, but you can go in all nationally and still hire those people out there to be part of your team, whatever you want to consider your team. Now, good news is that they do have this thing called a mentor program. So somebody that's local in that market will help mentor that person. Now, if you want to take them out and then give them the rest of the training that you potentially have, depending on the culture that you're bringing around, if you have your own proprietary program, my team here has a 90-day boot camp program that works all over the United States because it's mostly prospecting, but state-specific contracts and things like that, you'd want somebody there to mentor, and eXp does provide that for you, which is phenomenal. But not only that, eXp has also expanded into different countries. So now you can just take your brokerage and build internationally as well as nationally. That is incredible, right? And again, you don't have to have your license up there. Okay, number 4 is you can gain equity. You can gain equity in everything that you would normally do. So if you're a broker, sales agent coming into this, every time that you recruit somebody in and they have their first deal, you're going to get stock back from it. Anytime that you're doing normal real estate stuff, so maybe you're a broker and you don't want to do sales, that's fine. You can still get stock through your recruiting efforts, which is what you should be doing anyway, right? So you can do that, but if you're still in sales and you're still being a broker, every time you make sales, you can have 5% of whatever that is, your commission, that's at a 10% discount that goes back to you. It is a publicly traded stock. It's EXPI, if you want to go check that out. I've never purchased anything beyond what eXp has given me, and it's a very, very comfortable 6 figures that's just sitting in there that I barely pay any attention to. It's incredible. I've only been in this brokerage for about 2.5 years at this point, and the way that this thing is climbing is absolutely incredible. When I first started, it was around $3 per share. It's now upwards of $12 per share, and it continues to climb. When we had our split for that, it was even higher. It's kind of silly. We also have Grant Cardone, who has come on to help build this company out with Glenn Stanford, who is the broker for eXp. So who knows what they've got in store for us to continue to grow and to help build this equity out. Now, one thing about this equity program is that not just you as a team lead or as a broker gets it, all the people that come into eXp that you bring into also get stock, which means ownership. So talk about the one other thing that you have to worry about as a broker, which is retention. People are not, when they join your independent brokerage, they don't have any ownership in it. But when they join eXp gives every single person in there a shareholders, which is why one of their meetings is shareholders event or whatever it is. I can't think of it right now, but they have that event every single year because everybody's a part owner of it, and it helps people stay in it. Okay, so number 5 is, well, you can leverage a big brand. Now, if you're a broker, an independent broker, you probably looked at getting into certain franchises, maybe a lot of the Realogy things that they had out there, which were your Coldwells, your ERAs, Better Homes and Garden, and the math, well, it's pretty tight, right? Owning that sort of franchise. But if you wanted to have a big brand, but also have your own cool little brand, right? You can use your own colors, you can use everything else you want to, as long as under that is brokered by, or whatever your state is allowing you to do, because each one's going to be a little bit different. But you can use your local brand, you can still make that out, which is good for our high D egos, and you can also get the big eXp brand, which is really, really going to help you with your recruiting efforts with trying to bring people onto your team. All right, and number 6 is the time and financial freedom. Again, when you started your independent brokerage or were thinking about doing so, you were Captain Everything. Yes, that's true. And everybody, all the agents for admin, all of the stuff for sales, like this is all you, right? Go ahead, try to put your phone on silent. It's going to constantly go off. Even as a team lead, I can tell you that it kind of goes crazy. But at least when people come up and we're part of eXp, I'd be like, well, did you go into eXp World? Did you talk to the support staff? Did you talk to one of the brokers? One of the other people that had made this information available was talking about if you as a broker, as an independent brokerage, if you're one of those guys, listen to me, or gals, and you had left for 3 months and didn't pick up a phone, didn't answer a text message, didn't do any emails, what would that look like when you came back? Would you have less people? Would you have a lot more PO'd people? Like, what would that actually look like when you came back? Is that something sustainable? Well, at least here in Florida, we also have the legal hotline, but you can also go to eXp World and talk to any of the brokers or associate brokers. There's plenty of support staff. Matter of fact, I just had somebody that I onboarded the other day having issues with everything else. We went into eXp World, which is that virtual, like The Sims thing, if you're old enough to know what that is. And we walked with our avatars into the stateroom together and got them a guest pass, whatever, to figure it out. Actually talked to a person or two and was able to help us out just like we were in a real office. Now, I wasn't a big proponent of this thing. I thought it was silly and could just pick up the phone, but eXp World was actually more helpful than picking up the phone and going onto a waiting line. So pretty awesome, the fact that you get your time back and you can go, hey, have you seen this training? Have you done this? Have you done that? And all that stuff is still available for your agents. And of course, that financial freedom as well, which I'm going to get into here for a sec. But before I get there, we're talking about time and leveraging time, because you as a broker are worried about 4 main proponents, right? You're worried about training. You're worried about support. You're worried about growth, and you're worried about retention. We've already hit a lot of these different things, but if you don't have a personalized training program that you want to give your agents, eXp already has it. And they have over 20 hours of live training every single week, besides the holiday weeks. And there's tons and tons of recorded training that people can go out to. right? And in your upline, depending on who you go with, there may be tons of other training that's available for everybody. They're 7 levels deep. And if you're curious what that means, please let me know. I'd be happy to tell you. So there's tons and tons of different support that you can get out there for your own training if you haven't developed your own. Now, support, as I mentioned, eXp World, a phone call away. It's really nice that you don't have to deal with absolutely everything when that happens. Retention, we already talked about it. We have rev share. We have the equity program. People want to stay in here because they have vested interest in growth. Well, they said that they wanted to get from 60,000 agents in 2021, and in the next 5 years get up to 500,000. That's a big effort by the national brand to try to bring that many people in. So if you already have top, why don't you try your grassroots campaign to get your little brand and build it big with the big brand and see what that comes out to. There is so much room for growth, and it's happening whether you're here or not. So if you want to be part of something and just catch the wave of this momentum, not only with your own recruiting efforts, but with the big brand, this is the time to do it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the last thing that I got for you is the exit strategy. There is an exit strategy when it comes to eXp. Now, you build a big team, you build a big brokerage. At some point, if you want to pass it off, you absolutely can. Or you build it to a point to where it still continues to work for you. There's tons of different ways to build a team. eXp's rev share team, eXp traditional team, mega teams. There's tons of different programs. This is team-centric brokerage because eXp knows that the future real estate is not independent agents. It is teams, and it's the support that people get between their teams. But the big thing here is the revenue share. So instead of you having to be the broker and give more and more out to your agents to attract them onto them, like 100% brokerages are doing and certain brands that are doing that, you don't have to give that much out, and you shouldn't anyway. But you don't have to give that much out to the agents, right? Because eXp starts at an 80-20 split. From that 20% that eXp gets from you or from all the agents and everybody below you, they disseminate that out to all the people that are open for rev share, to include yourself. So all those people that join your team or your eXp team, brokerage, whatever you want to call it, even if they're like, hey, I want to go on to bigger, better things, I want to make my own team, instead of worrying about that, you're actually going to get part of their rev share for as long as they stay with eXp. And there's no reason for them to leave if they're getting bigger and better, right? So not only are you going to get from their sales, but you're also going to get it from their rev share. Now, the great part about that is even if you get to that point, right, and you work, and you get up to your 50s or 60s or whatever, and you're like, hey, I'm done with this. I don't want to do sales anymore. Or maybe you're even at that point right now. Well, the good news is you don't have to do those sales. With the rev share portion of it, you get a very, very comfortable passive income for those people that continue to do sales under you. There's a whole bunch of videos about rev share. I encourage you to take a look at that. But there could be, I saw somebody's rev share, just one rev share payment out in California that was north of 6 figures for the month. That's insanity. Most people getting rev share that have this broker sort of mentality, that have 15 to 15, 50, 150, are bringing in rev shares north of whatever they're making off of their brokerage. So it's absolutely incredible. You should probably know those numbers, especially if you've been doing this for a while. The rev share is absolutely phenomenal. But I digress. Once you get out of real estate or real estate sales, right? This rev share will continue to pay you after the fact. As long as you retain your license, keep your license active, but you're not doing anything. As long as people are staying in the eXp and still continuing to do sales, you get 7 levels of that 20% essentially that they're giving to eXp until they cap, that will be paying out to you. So you can still have 20 years of passive income still coming in, and from the sale of your business or whatever. So it's an amazing way to be able to get out of it. One extra thing I want to leave you with that big exit strategy, with the rev share that I was talking about, it is willable. So you can give this phenomenal amount of money to somebody else when you pass on, providing that they get their their real estate license within 18 months of you doing so. So big opportunities here for you guys. Hopefully this gives you some good information on why the independent brokerages have been joining eXp. If you have questions or specifics about anything that I mentioned here, please go ahead and reach out to me. I'd love to help. If you'd like some more information from my resources where I got this, I'd be happy to give you that information as well. Other than that, if you are ready to make the switch, you can give me a call, shoot me a text. All my information is below this video here. And again, I'm Tim Whittemore with the Whittemore Group at eXp Realty here in Northwest Florida, here on the Emerald Coast. And we'll talk with you soon. Take care.